It is City Radio 107.6 FM, and now welcome to the Tech Clinic. Joined with our guest host presenter who's already holding his head in shame. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Ghufran Shah.
Wa alaikum salam, Brother Yasar Tanveer. How are you today?
I'm fine, how are you?
I'm smiling because you're smiling.
Oh no.
Looking at the fresh face of youth. MashaAllah.
And you're huffing and puffing too.
I've had a quick run around the football pitch.
The indoor football pitch.
The indoor football pitch.
Yeah.
Yes.
As a goalkeeper.
Yeah, practicing my goalkeeping skills. I did say 5 goals in a row though.
You can stress on that as much as you like.
I have a newly found passion for football.
Nearly. Just about there. Is that no, I'm not going to go into it. Let's move on to the questions for today. Jazakallah for everyone who participated in today's show. Thank you for taking part. And as always, and this is open for you guys to put your questions forward to us. Anything to do with technology. It can be for your homework. It can be business related. It can be anything that you want to learn about. There's no boundaries to that. So let's move on to our questions. And the first question we've got here is, what is binary, Brother Ghufran?
Okay, binary is a numbering scheme which only has 2 possible values, a 1 and a 0. And if you look at all these computers nowadays, at the end of the day, it's just a 1 and a 0, or a high and a low. So when you look at binary notation, you'll only see 1s and 0s. So, for example, if you want to represent the number 1 in binary, it's simple, it's 1. But the number 2 in binary will be represented as 1, 0. Okay, so in the binary, the only possible digits are 1 and 0. Okay, so there's a mathematical coding system. So you've got binary, you've got decimal, 0 to 9, you've got octal, hexadecimal, etc. So just the 1s and 0s. That's all binary is.
And the purpose of this is for
representing pretty much digital systems. So you'll see, and if anybody's doing electronics or computer science, you'll see the base notation for the actual signals, the high voltage and the low voltage, can be translated into a 1 for a high and a 0 for a low.
Excellent. And let's move on to our second question of the day. Can you recommend any free operating systems?
Yes, there's lots of free operating systems. Pretty much the family of Linux operating systems, that's Linux. You can download these from the web. So if you do a Google on Linux, those operating systems are free. One of the very popular ones, something called Ubuntu, Ubuntu, that has a graphical interface. So somebody coming from a Windows background will find that easy to use. A lot of the Linux distributions are free to download, such as Red Hat, SUSE. There's something called Damn Small Linux, which can fit on a USB stick. So in fact, the Pi device we spoke about, the Raspberry Pi, that runs a version of Linux on it as well. So you can download them from the internet. So do a Google on Linux, and they are very functional. They come from enterprise operating systems based on Unix.
Okay.
So you'll find most of the Linux systems are free. Some do have a charge, and that charge is really for support. So you can get a enterprise class Linux operating systems for home usage and learning. You can just download one of the free ones and install them on most PC architectures now.
Excellent. Can you recommend any free office suites and comment on their compatibility with software such as Microsoft Office?
Okay, there's quite a few free office suites. Again, why would you want a free office suite? Well, if you have a free operating system, that implies you're a student or somebody on a budget, or you're experimenting. On a free operating system, you might want to install a free office suite. So one of the popular ones was Star Office, bought out by Oracle many years ago, but you can still download Star Office, the legacy version, which is free. You've got Open Office, you've got Oxygen Office, you have Microsoft Office web apps. A lot of these are compatible with Microsoft. You can certainly open the files that somebody sent you, a Word document or an Excel, and you can save them as well. So pretty much compatibility is there with all of the free ones. There's Open Office, there's Think Free, there's Zoho Office Suite, also Google Docs. They have they're quite advanced now, where you can take a Word document and load it and make some changes and save it. So quite a few of them are pretty advanced now. I've used a few of them, Star Office back in the day, and also Open Office. I found those quite useful. somebody coming from a Microsoft background wants to still use on their PC, might
Yeah.
want to try out Microsoft Office web apps. They're cut down versions of the full Office suite. The beauty of that is, if you do go for MS Office web apps, you can link it with a free Windows Live account, and you'll get 7 gigabytes of storage on the SkyDrive backup service, which again is free to store your documents.
And there's some new computers actually come up with Office Starter as well, don't they? So,
The Office Starter Edition, that's right, yes.
yeah, so it's quite basic, obviously, but it's available.
Indeed.
And moving on to the next question that we've got here. If someone was to use my Apple ID on their iPhone to pay for an app, will that app be available to me on my iPhone?
Possibly. So if you've shared your Apple user ID and password with somebody you trust, then on their device, they might install an application, they might download some music, or install some books. Now on their device, you have to be running iOS 5 and above, and you'll find in your settings, you go into the iTunes and App Stores option. In there's something called automatic downloads. So if you have, say, 2 iPhones, both of those iPhones need to have automatic downloads enabled. And then when somebody downloads an application on one iPhone, it's automatically synchronized on your other device. So you might have 2 iPads and 2 iPhones. And as long as they've got the automatic download set, then yes, you'll be able to see which application they've installed. If you don't have the automatic download set to on, then you won't be able to see what other person's downloaded.
So that actually has to be on for other people.
On every
to see.
device, it has to be set to on. And that's in, go to your iPhone in settings, or your iPad in settings, and then you go to the iTunes and App Stores option, and you'll be able to specify automatic downloads for your apps, music, and books.
Super. Good
Super
to know.
duper. And this is part of the Apple functionality. Android, I think they were struggling in this space. There are some third-party sync apps. There's a Google push option as well, but I've seen people have been struggling with that. So if you have a number of Android tablets and Android devices, it's not as easy to get things synchronized. It's more manual. So Apple has a good integrated system there.
We just pushed
I'm just
time on Apple again.
I'm just stating the facts.
Well, it is true. It is true. Apple are known for being masters of sync. So,
and just the other point is,
yes?
if you do have, say, 2 iPhones, you only have to buy the application once. There's no extra charge incurred.
And that goes the same for Android as well.
Most of the Android apps are free.
Thank you.
The majority are not tested. Let's not talk about that. Sorry.
We're going off topic again. Moving on to the next question. I've just upgraded to Windows 8. All I see is boxes everywhere. Could you please explain to me the purpose of these boxes and what can I do with them?
Okay, this is typical of evolution in our industry. You'll see Windows 8 radically designed the way you interact with your Microsoft devices. So Windows 8 was designed really for different types of devices.
Okay.
It was designed for your touchscreen, for your Surface tablet, for your desktop, for your laptop, and your mobile phone and your smartphone. So that's why you see these this new way of interacting. The boxes, as the listener says, it's the way you'll be interacting now. So the old start menu is not there. You can get to the start menu by moving the mouse or moving your finger to the bottom left.
Yep.
If you want to see where your applications are, then you can move the mouse or your finger to the bottom right, and you'll see your apps appear. So there are different ways of using or interacting with your Windows 8 machine. You'll see typically when you install an application, there'll be one of those boxes will have the application in it, and to start the application, you'll just touch that box either with your finger or your mouse. Okay, so it's a different way of working. There are quite a few good tutorials on YouTube for Windows 8 for beginners. I recommend the listeners to go through some of those tutorials and become familiar with the operating system. It's a new way of using your Windows devices.
A lot of people say and argue that it's designed for tablets and mobile devices the way it is, rather than for computers. Some argue that it's more of getting used to as well. That it's something new, is fresh, like
Yeah.
Vista was at one point. But
Mhm.
obviously, Vista brought a lot of problems with it, with the privacy, security settings, and everything that was added on as too much for people. But I guess this is a big change from the generic desktop and the start menu.
Yeah, sure.
There have been ways of, I mean, you can still get the desktop, the old school desktop can be still brought up.
Mhm.
That's not a problem with that. But there are apps now people are creating, because obviously Windows 8 now runs big time on apps as
Mhm.
well.
Sure.
So another part of it that you can actually get the start menu back. But that's something totally different. Obviously, that requires modifying and changes.
Sure. Mhm.
So, it requires a slightly more advanced person to do that.
Mhm.
But for the average general person, I guess, and it's best to just stick to something new and learn from it, I guess.
Yeah, sure. It's the way I think this has changed. People always find change difficult. When we went from text interfaces and command line through to a GUI, that was all a radical change. But now you'll get used to it, like most things, and you'll find it if you have a smart tablet as well, where you're using your finger, then moving from that to your PC would be it's an easier transition. So things just look the same now in the Microsoft world, from your Xbox to your tablet to your PC.
Well, the idea is, the masters at this, I guess I hate to say this, is Apple. They're trying to make everything the same, to work exactly
Yeah.
the same, look the same, just like
Sure.
Apple have done for years now.
Sure.
So it doesn't look too different, like the iPad and the iPhone. The display, the functionality of it's not too different
Yeah, to
in
be honest,
comparison. So you can easily switch from a big screen iPad, in a sense, going to an iPhone. Obviously, the major difference, you can make calls. But other than that, mainly, I mean, if you agree or not, the display is the same, the icons are pretty much the same, so it's supposed to be user-friendly in that
Yeah,
sense.
sure. And I think with the whole Apple world, and I hate to say this, but to me, Apple now seems a bit stale. There's nothing new coming from that world now. I'd say the interface, the common interface, has been there for a while. The Windows world is a lot more exciting. I mean,
But they are going down that route,
Yeah.
though, aren't they?
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
So it's all using one device in the
Yeah.
same way. So flipping from a surface, from your coffee table might have a screen inbuilt.
yeah.
Okay, so you're putting your tea or your aloo gobi on a an icon, which is changing the TV channel. So your actual glass table
Yeah.
is a surface. So touching your glass table is the same as touching your phone, as the same as touching your PC.
I guess a major one they've played the ball on, and a lot of people need to get used to it before start criticizing, is the live tiles.
Mm-hmm.
So these actual boxes that one of the listeners said, they can actually become a live tile, so they can become squares with information running down, some like
Sure.
up-to-date news and stuff like that, or the sports, if you're following a football team, for example, or something else. It can be up-to-date, and those are always updating themselves.
Sure.
So it's not just a square. It can do more than that.
Yeah, no, that's one thing Apple have never really had. It's been a shortcoming, and the Androids had it a while with them widgets and your live updates and
Yeah.
that kind of live dynamic portal, as you say, with the feeds coming in from everywhere. So Windows 8 is it's new, it's fresh, exciting. You'll see that's going to be a big play in the coming years. Let's see what Apple come up with.
Yeah.
I don't think they've got that innovation anymore, but let's see what happens with iPhone 6.
Not the 5S.
The 5 is going to be the same.
Okay, let's get back to our questions. Next question that we've got is: I do a lot of backups onto CDs of my computer. I find it to be the safest way. What other backup options are available to me, and how much would they cost?
Okay, so CDs and backing up onto physical media, the old school way sometimes is the safest way. But if you lose a CD or you step on it, sit on it like I've done, you've damaged your physical media. I think regardless of that, that's always good practice. Have that CD in physical media. Also, it's worthwhile having storage in the cloud. And by that I mean you can get a free, for example, Dropbox account.
Okay.
You'll get 2 gigabytes of space free. And if you start to refer friends, you'll get a minimum of 500 megabytes for referring one friend. If you're a student and have or an ex-student who has a university email address, or even a teacher at university, you'll get a free 3 gigabytes rather.
Wow.
So you can very easily, by referring people and assigning email addresses, you can end up with 5-10 gigabytes of storage space. If you're doing lots of video editing and you need gigabytes or terabytes of storage space, then you can get 100 gigabytes of space. It's only about $9 a month, which is about £6 a
100
month.
gigabytes.
Yeah, so I needed
Wow.
that much for some work a few weeks ago, and I just opened up an account. It's £6 a month. You can stop it whenever you like, so if you need that storage capacity, it's there. Amazon do an S3 cloud storage offering, which they give you, I think, 7 gigabytes to start off with,
Okay.
and they charge you per usage. So rather than a Dropbox, which is per month, you might not use that Dropbox account, you'll still be charged. The Amazon will charge you per usage, and it's about 1 or 2 pence per gigabyte after the initial usage, so all depends on your requirements. So it's good practice having physical storage as well as a cloud storage. You can buy pretty large external disk drives now. You can get 2 terabytes, 3 terabytes of external USB storage.
Yeah.
So this user who's backing up on CD, I hope they've got a number of backup solutions. CD is a good thing, but CDs are kind of only 800 megabytes nowadays, so should be using DVD, maybe a dual layer DVD which can store 8 gigabytes of storage. They are expensive though, maybe about £1 a DVD on average for a good dual layer. The cost of storage space is cheap, so always go for an external USB, a reputable name. Don't go to PC World straight away. I suppose you can and have a look and do some window shopping. Best prices are always online, and you can get a 2-3 terabyte for under £100 nowadays.
Saying that, not to cut down PC World, but on the way they do it themselves, it might be something more expensive in the store, but on the online shop it'll be cheaper.
Absolutely, yeah. They all do that.
It's web deals.
Yeah, sure. So if you're in the store, always ask them, can they price match their online deal?
Yeah.
In most cases they can. Okay. Yeah.
And they would to get that extra money in.
Or you call in Tech Clinic and we'll try and price match. And all we ask in for return is your duas. No commission.
Yeah. Inshallah. I guess to add on to that, really, about cloud storage. If this listener of ours is backing up on the CDs, could you just give us a moment just to explain what cloud storage is? And I know you've given the options.
Okay, so that term cloud, you might have seen it in magazines and press. It's a way of really using the internet to do a lot of our computing. So rather than installing a PC at home, you could have a very basic device to access your resources that are stored in the network. So the term cloud is really referred to resources you're accessing across the network.
Sure.
So this cloud storage is it's an area of disk space that is reserved for you by a company called Dropbox or a company called Amazon. So you don't physically have a disk drive. You open an account and they give you access, and you then just transfer your files from your machine up to your Dropbox account. And it is secure, so you've got your confidence that you've got data security preserved. So the term cloud is using resources across the internet. Okay.
So it literally is in the
It's
cloud.
in the cloud, and
it's not any physical.
It's all very well, but if you lose your network connection at home, you can't access your resources.
That's what you said.
That's a
Have
big
more
problem.
than that.
So
Have
always
more than
have
one.
a physical backup as well. So I do that all the time. I've got on my work laptop. I back up onto a desktop and an external USB. In fact, 2 external USBs and some things on the cloud. Okay, so just remember, if everybody asked themselves if they lost all their data today, how would they feel? And if you think I'm going to feel really bad, make sure you've got a backup.
Exactly.
If you don't back up it, you'll lose it.
Wise words.
Mm-hmm.
Wise words. Moving on to the next question that we have here, and it seems like it's the final question as well. Coming close to the end of the show, so it's going pretty well. I have a Samsung S2. Someone told me I can use my phone as a navigator. How do I do that?
Okay, so the Samsung S2 should have had, I think it does have GPS capability.
Yep.
It's a GPS global positioning system which enables your phone to act as a satellite navigation device. So in your settings, make sure the GPS function is turned on, and depending on where you got the phone from, you may have some of the manufacturer's software installed. If you don't, then try installing Google Maps as a start off, or installing TomTom or some other navigation software like that. If you go to the Android marketplace and do a search for navigation software, I'm sure you'll find some navigation software. You've got to make sure you're in a good signal area. I have seen reports where the S2, the GPS signal can be quite poor. So if it's not working indoors, if you can't catch a signal, then you can always download a GPS signal tester from the Android marketplace.
Okay.
Go outside into a field or outside in your garden and just see if you can catch any of the satellites. Okay, so it does have a built-in GPS functionality, and you need to install the right software. Okay, so either Google Maps or some TomTom or some other commercial navigation software.
And Google have also got the navigation as well, so
And
they
it's
can
turn-by-turn navigation.
turn-by-turn navigation. Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, as a side note, having GPS on will consume a lot of the battery, and it will
Yes.
drain it pretty fast.
It would indeed. It would.
So just to be aware of that.
Mhm.
Any final notes? That's the end of
Is
pretty
that
much
the last
questions.
question?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
the last one.
need some more questions. 37 questions. But nice questions this week. It's been nice.
Good mix.
I hope everybody's been looking at the Facebook account, and I saw a message from you, I think yesterday, that you've created a new Facebook group for the Tech
Our
Clinic.
page, yeah.
Yeah, sure. So if anybody can post questions online, if people are feeling shy to call in, just post them online. And then thanks very much for the listener who emailed us that question in.
That was excellent.
So bonus points for you. So let us know how you get on with your automatic downloads. And those of you who have already asked questions, if you feel like we haven't answered them properly, please let us know. If you've benefited again, let us know. If there's anything you wanted to talk about, then let us know. So we're here to we can adjust the flow of the program as you see fit.
We're here tailored for you guys.
Especially if there's our school teachers out there in primary schools, nurseries, secondary schools who are doing lessons on basic computing for children, if we can help in any way there. There's lots of resources that I've come across for printing cartoon drawings that your children can colour in. So all your children's favourite characters, you can rather than going to shops and buying these colouring books, you can just go to the net and just download these pictures, and it'll keep them quiet for a good few hours. So if your kids like colouring and they want some activities, there's lots of stuff online. So we can share those. So we're really open to suggestions.
And also great resources on the educational side as well. There's some great worksheets that you can get. There's also some great stuff which can be sit down with your young ones, and you can go through quite easily. And there's quite a lot of resources on the internet, and parents and many adults don't know about, or just haven't got the time to look into, and we can do that for them.
Indeed. So, I feel quite sad now. It's time to say goodbye.
Till next time.
You got nothing to ask me, Yasar?
Not really.
You haven't asked me a question. It's been 4 weeks.
Wow.
You haven't asked me a question.
Do I need to ask you a question?
I think you should.
About
anything. I've put you on the spot now, haven't I?
Oh yeah, you have. How's the job going?
Which job?
Your job.
My job's fine. Alhamdulillah, job's fine.
That's great. Yeah.
Question. And if there is a electrical engineer out there who knows how to fix microphones or knows how to screw a screw properly, there's a problem with the microphone in the studio, and
I had to bring that one up.
I've got neck ache now because I'm almost bending down, putting my face in the microphone. But alhamdulillah, it's all good.
Thanks for that.
Thank you, Yasar.
I feel embarrassed now.
I suppose the actual the tip for this week is make sure you're backing up your data. Make sure you're backing up data. It's happened to me once where my PC's died and I've lost all my data, and it's not a nice feeling, especially when you've got your personal files, maybe your family photos, or just some personal data. Worse still, if it's work data and you haven't got a backup, it can just cause you unnecessary stress.
I can definitely relate to that. Happened with me and a memory stick, which ended up being smashed to pieces because it was dropped, and it basically someone walked over it.
Oh dear.
And when plugging it back in, pretty much it was reading it. The computer was reading it, but all the files, more than half of them were corrupted, so it wasn't picking up everything. That was there. From there on, I have learnt my lesson though. I back up everything onto an external hard drive. I've got another external hard drive, make another copy of all that backup, plus I've got it onto a memory stick and my main computer.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Yeah, how important is your data?
Exactly.
Good, well done.
I think we'll call it a day there.
If you're happy, I'm happy. If the listeners are happy, I'm happy.
And this obviously will be available on YouTube as well.
Inshallah, yeah. Until the next time, we look forward to your questions, inshallah.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. Wa alaikum assalam.
You are listening to Dawn FM.